So let's see how we've done and if this thing's going to work, and before we put it into a data table. So here you can see we've picked the scenario 3 still, which is purchasing the building. And if we go back to a couple of the numbers that we pointed out before, we saw that cash was 517. It's still there. We had revenues going up to 2701, which works for 15%. And we can even update a previous, that hopefully 4129 sounds familiar and is correct. And then we can even go to the EBITDA line, which was 569, and see that we've got that in our data table and we've got it on our income statement. So far looks pretty good. Now let's switch over to scenario 1, and if you'll remember, we were looking for still 15% growth, so our growth numbers are still the same. We were also looking for cash of we're looking for cash of 465,000. So what's happened here? And that's sort of our canary in the coal mine. If that's wrong, that's not a good sign. Our EBITDA or EBIT was 389, and we're okay there. What's happening in our cash flow statement? Well, since we're renting space, we don't want to see a building here, and we don't want to see a building here, and we don't want to see borrowing all that money. But we do have owner draws here, and the difference is that, at least as in the case, not necessarily what I assigned, scenario 3 had owner's draws in the last 2 years of $175,000, but scenario 1 had scenario 1 actually had owner's draws all 3 years. So if we go to our assumption page, we're missing one. And what happened is, when we were doing this segment, we didn't put in owner's draws as a difference between the two scenarios. So let's go back and have scenario 1, which is the additional rental space with 15% growth, have 3 owner draws of $175,000. And scenario 3, because we're borrowing money, let's just have 2 owner draws. So we'll go in here, and I'm going to kind of copy this whole thing to save a little time, and call this owner draws. And scenario 1, I said we'd have them $175,000. all 3 times. In scenario 3, we'll just have owner draws in that last year. So and you'll see that the choose function is working since we're in scenario 1 to give us 3 owner draws, right? But the problem is it's not being reflected over here. And that's because we haven't changed this. These are just hardwired numbers. If you look up here, you'll see these are just hardwired. They're not going to change as the scenario changes. So let's change that. So let's set the equal sign over here and go over and find what's been chosen. And we've got a problem there because that's a positive number. So I'll put a negative sign and then go over here. And then do it either way, but let's copy, paste. So now under scenario 1, we've got 3 owner draws, and we are back to our $465,000 in cash. If we choose scenario 3, the choose function is giving us just one owner draw. We said there'd be 2. How'd that happen? Good chance to debug. So we did put that in correctly. Okay. So now it gives us 2 here under scenario 3, which is what we wanted. And let's check scenario 3. We're at our 517 again, and our 4129, 4,129,000 value for the equity of the company. So looks like we can toggle back and forth between scenarios, and then finally, to really keep us from having to write these down separately or keep separate sheets or redo things when other assumptions change, let's put them together in a data table. So now that we know that scenario 1, switching between scenario 1 and scenario 3 works, let's see if we get a data table going here. So fill up a data table. Well, first of all, notice that I've gone from here to here, which is giving me the equity value for the whole company, which is what we want to fill in this table. Okay, and for data table, we go to data, and first I'll cover these up. What if data table, input the cell, the rows, and that's our scenario. For our column inputs, we're over here to revenue growth, and hit OK. That doesn't really look too good, right? Because all the numbers are the same. But hit F9 to recalculate. Obviously, I have this spreadsheet set up to calculate automatically, except for data tables. Won't even bother explaining that. So now, does this make sense? We're in scenario 3. Value's 4129 if we have 15% compound annual growth. And in fact, that's what we've got. So the data table seems to work. And a couple of things. One is we can get rid of this, which needs to be there for the data table to work, but we don't need to see it. So we can make this formula stay there, AB106, but get rid of having to look at it. Go to Format Cells, and then there may be another way of doing it, but I'm going to enter 3 semicolons. Sorry, those are supposed to be semicolons. And voila. So now I've got a data table. Seems to work. This makes sense. And now we can make a decision. If we really think we're going to get this high growth, then our equity value is a little higher if we take scenario 1 and just rent the space. But if we're worried about low growth and that growth not happening, looks like we're better off. We're really better off with our additional rental space. So that's it for this assignment. Good luck.